It's the top 5 most surprising games on this episode of Play Saves the World, the ongoing conversation on spirituality and board games. Well, hello and welcome, one and all, to this episode of Play Saves the World. It is one of the greatest things ever that you are joining us today. Thank you so much for being as part of this hour. My name is Daniel Hilty.
My name is Kevin Taylor.
And we are so grateful to you, dear listeners, dear viewers, if you're watching on YouTube, wherever you are, whatever time of the day it may be, whatever's going on in your life, in your world, whether there are positive things or negative things or whatever joys or burdens are on your heart, it is awesome that you have decided to spend a few moments with us. We're really grateful, and we wish you well. Kevin, I wish you well. It's good to see you.
Same here, buddy. Same here.
So, Kevin, if people like this kind of conversation about games and spirituality, what are ways they can support this kind of conversation, this podcast?
You could tell a friend, so share a link to this via YouTube or the podcast. Tell someone else that would be interested in it. You can like and subscribe, give us a review for the podcast on Apple Podcasts or whatever your podcast player of choice is. And you can also donate at patreon.com/PlaySavesTheWorld to help us with the ongoing costs of the channel.
Thank you. We would appreciate, and we love and welcome all signs of support and hearing from you all. It makes our day.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you, Kevin. I apologize. I just realized in my dancing during our theme song, I pulled loose a wire. So I'm gonna go fix a wire here.
We see the Daniel currently fixing a wire.
Just the dangers.
He is observed. This now the Daniel is settled in.
See, it's a lesson. I should never dance. That's the issue. It's the lesson. I flew too close to the sun, to the
I was hoping you were
sun.
dragging a little stuffed monkey behind you, like that really sweet zoo. Remember No, what was it? It was a monkey, but it was dragging a stuffed monkey. Remember that in Japan?
I don't remember this. This is something
you didn't see it. Oh,
is this something recent? Like on the
it's like
interwebs?
2 or 3 weeks ago. It was
Okay.
It was making the national news. But yes, there was, of course I'm going to get it wrong, but there was some type of monkey who had been abandoned by his mother and was given, like the zoo had him in Japan somewhere, and they gave him a little stuffed monkey as a comfort, like a Linus and his blanket type thing.
Oh yeah.
And the monkey was getting ostracized by the other monkeys, I guess because he was young or not known. So he would just carry this little monkey around, like a little, yeah. And then he started doing really well, and the other monkeys were accepting him, and he started throwing feces at them, and they threw feces at him, and everyone was overjoyed, right?
It was a happy ending to everything.
It was a very happy ending. Feces for everyone. I'm joking about the feces. That's an old joke about how many dirty, stinking monkeys does it take to change a light bulb? You know that?
No,
15.
I don't.
1 to change a light bulb and 14 to hurl feces at each other.
Well, whatever works. Whatever works.
As long as the bulb gets changed. So yes, that was the little monkey.
I'm sorry that I missed that. I've got to look for that.
I'll try to post it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was hoping Daniel had his little stuffed monkey with it.
You know what? I do have a little stuffed bear here.
You do. Just drag it behind you.
It's not quite like a monkey, but our viewers on YouTube may see I've got a little stuffed bear.
It's an orange bear.
It's an orange bear. That's right. That's right.
It says Kevin is number 2.
That's only because Kevin is also number 1. He's both 1 and 2. I've got my Kevin is number 1 bear over here.
Really? Show us.
2 bear.
That, my friends, is what we call a humble war.
Oh, that's
Anywho,
great.
today's
so we're talking
topic,
about the top 5 most surprising games, which I realize is kind of redundant. I guess if they're the top 5, of course they're the most surprising. The top 5 surprising games, or 5 most surprising games. But
5
yes,
most surprising games that have tops.
yes, that
Lids.
have top
All these games
lids.
have top lids.
That's
Yep,
right.
yep, exactly.
And of course,
Yeah, these
these
are
are
games
surprising to
that
us.
defied expectations for us. So these were
That's right.
games that we went in and either they exceeded or maybe they kind of broke what we thought was going to happen with the game. And we were like, wow, that was so cool. So
Yep,
yeah.
yep,
Yeah.
yep,
So
yep.
we're going to trade these numbers. We don't know each other's lists. Daniel
Nope.
probably knows mine because I am a creature of habit, ritual de lo habitual. But we'll see. But I've got one honorable mention and Daniel has 2.
I've got 2. That's
So go
right.
ahead,
That's right.
Daniel. Your
Okay,
first honorable mention.
honorable mention number 1. Um, so is a game one of my most recent purchases for a game. It is called Planet Unknown. Planet Unknown. Have you played this, Kevin?
No, but
Yeah,
I've seen it.
it's a fantastic game.
Is it
My
good?
it really has become one of my favorite games. It is a
Hmm.
it's at its heart, it's a tile laying game where you're trying to which I love tile laying games. They're one of my
Yes, you
favorite.
do.
That's one of
You
my
do.
favorite mechanism,
Mhm.
where you put tiles of different terrain types on a planet. Basically, you're trying to terraform a planet, and then but you also have a little rover that you're moving to collect meteorites that have fallen on the planet. And there's a lot of variability from planet to planet and corporation to corporation. You play as a corporation. Um, one of the geniuses of the game is that everyone plays simultaneously, which is amazing. You don't have to wait.
Mhm.
Everybody is terraforming at the same time. My expectation that was defied is this. When I looked at the game, it's a massive box. It has a massive plastic, kind of like Lazy Susan wheel in the middle that has all the pieces in it. For whatever reason, I am getting at a place in my gaming life where I'm just don't quite get into games that seem like super heavily produced anymore, like that,
Mm.
have like a lot of pieces, a lot of setup, a lot of big maintenance. And when I looked at the game, I thought that's what it would be like. I just thought it was like super produced. You just take a lot of maintenance, a lot of setup. And and it really doesn't. You basically take it out of the box. You might need to shuffle a few things, but you're good to go. And so despite the fact it seemed like that I wouldn't like it for that reason, I was wrong. I was surprised by how much I love the game. So that's my first one. My first honorary mention, Planet Unknown. What's yours?
And well,
Yes.
let me addendum that.
Yeah.
I've recently played a wonderful game that is called Evacuation by Vladimir
Oh,
Suchi, and
I
it's
didn't
so
mention
good
it.
because it's tile placement. But the cool
Oh,
bit is you have to take it from an old planet to a new planet, so you have to build a spaceship, but you kind of have to produce in both places. You would really like it
I
because,
didn't
like,
realize it was
you
tile
need,
placement.
yeah, it's tile
Oh,
placement. So, like, there's
oh, I
production
love that.
facilities on the old Earth and our new home
Oh,
because Earth is like we're having to evacuate the planet. So, you've got to keep enough on the old planet while getting stuff to the new planet. And it's
that
really
sounds
cool.
great.
It's really cool. Yeah.
That sounds amazing. I'm gonna try
Um,
that. That's the second
yeah.
I've heard you talk about evacuation. Thank
Yeah.
you. Good, good, good.
Vladimir Suchi, my first Vladimir Suchi. That's awesome. I Planet Unknown. I've heard cool stuff, and I have not tried that. I haven't tried in particular, but it reminds me of a game. See, here I am just riffing on everything you're saying, but
I love it.
Formaggio, which is the sequel to Fromage, which is
Yes.
similar in that it kind of turns. So, as well as everyone places at the same time. So it's kind of a trend, I guess, and it is
That's
nice.
that is
Yeah.
cool. Yeah, you know what? Yes. I I love that.
Well, yeah,
That's a
yeah,
great
yeah.
comparison. Yeah, yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
So my honorable mention will go down as one of the great games of all time in my gaming history, but also in anyone's, I think, and that's Pandemic, because that was for a lot of
Mm,
people, including me, the
mm,
first exposure to a co-op game. I'm
yeah.
I'm sure there were others before that, but that was one where you're just like, what? Especially
Mm,
because soon after we really were in the COVID pandemic, and then we were
yeah.
playing Pandemic. So some friends blamed the whole thing on me, like it's a
Like
hex board or something.
you
Yeah.
summoned the pandemic. Okay,
I
okay.
summoned the
Yeah.
pandemic. And actually the
Mm,
first game was about the the avian flu virus. That is what inspired it. So it is based on a pandemic, but not the COVID one. But yeah, it's just I had never seen a game where people really took real actions together to defeat the board. That
That's cool.
I mean, maybe I had at some point, but not like that. Not where you're just like, oh wow, it's really cool. As well as the idea of the infection deck, like the most recent cards in there that you've dealt get reshuffled, and so you're more likely to have things happen again where you've already had them happen, which makes it worse. Yeah, that was just like, wow.
So you found it a real, I mean, it sounds like hearing you describe it, like just a real eye-opening experience for you. Like, I
That
didn't know
was one that
games could
got
do
me
this.
into modern board gaming,
Yeah,
yeah. I
yeah,
think that really
yeah,
was the one, and I'm not
yeah,
alone in that. For a lot of people, it's Settlers of Catan, and that's another classic game that's just the first Euro that most people played,
yeah,
and it is a
yeah,
cool one.
yeah.
It is a cool one,
Yeah.
but yeah, I'm gonna do
That's
that.
a great
Your
one. Yeah.
other surprising game.
Yes, I'm going to say one game, but it's kind of representative of a class of games from my last honor I mentioned, and that is the game Skull. Have you played Skull?
Mhm.
Maybe it's
I
called
have,
Skull
only
Roses,
like once or twice, yeah.
like little coffee coasters. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Skull. I am using it as a placeholder, a representative for um, games that sound like they shouldn't work.
Mhm.
But when you hear the rules, but then you play them and they're really fun. Um, um, and uh, and so Skull is like that. Other examples I might include is The Mind is an example of a game
Mhm.
that you hear the rules, it sounds like it's going to work. Geistertreppe or Spooky Stairs is a kid's game from Germany that again doesn't sound like it should work. It works. In
That's not a
Skull,
hat. I would put that in there as
that's
well.
not a hat.
All you
Yeah,
got
yeah.
to do is remember.
That's right, that's
Yeah.
right. Skull is super easy. You've got these coffee coasters, essentially. You have a set of 4, they come in different colors, each for each person. One of them is different from the others. One of them has a skull, and, it's basically a bluffing game, right? And you keep putting coffee coasters face down in front of you until someone, um, says, "Hey, I think I can take this many coffee coasters without getting a skull." But the trick is you have to take all of your coffee coasters first before you can take anyone else's. It doesn't sound like it should work, but it works and it's so much fun.
Mm.
And again, the mind is like that. That's not a hat is like that. I mean, the rules aren't the same, but it's that same feeling of when someone explains the game to you, it's like, this sounds broken or this sounds like it shouldn't work, but it works and it's super fun. And it's just that surprise of giving the game a try that you think is broken in when you hear the description of it and you realize it's really genius.
Cool.
Um, that's the surprise for me. So yeah, so Skull as a representation of a class of games that sound like they shouldn't work, but they do. That's my last honorary mention.
Interesting, interesting. We'll go into your number 5.
Yeah, my number 5 is I believe this is a past Spiel des Jahres winner, which is the Game of the Year award in Germany, and I would say probably not even arguably kind of the highest um, game board game award in the world. Um, I think it was a winner of the award. I hope I'm not getting that wrong. Turn und Taxis, or Thurn and Texas, it might be called. Have you heard of this game, Kevin?
No, I think you're
Uh,
making this game up.
so, so check this out. It's a game where you get to simulate building postal routes in medieval Germany, and it's
For what, the
um,
5 people that could write?
or maybe late.
Giuseppe has written another card.
Or maybe I'm getting my era wrong, but it's not the modern era.
Message
It
for you, sir.
this is kind of the same era as like Ticket to Ride, and it's often compared to Ticket to Ride in that it's kind of a set collection where you're taking cards, you're trying to make sets of cards, melding your cards, um, and you use that to build routes to upgrade your letter carrier wagon between cities in uh, in what's now Germany, but the Germany of a yesteryear. the surprise for me is that it doesn't look very exciting when you look at it. The theme does not sound very exciting.
No,
And when you hear the
I'm
mechanism
debating
described,
whether if I throw myself out this window, it will
and
end me.
even
But
when
I'm
you
on the
hear the
second floor and
mechanism,
there's a bush
that's
below me,
right. No.
so I'm not doing it. It sounds awful.
Turn in Texas is what was the game too far for Kevin. And even when you hear it described, it doesn't sound very exciting. But I really enjoyed it. I've always heard good things about it, and so I was kind of cautious to try it. But a friend, a coworker, had a copy. He lent it to me. I really liked it. I liked it so much that I found a used copy online and ordered it. It's not in print anymore, um, and I really like it. It gives a similar vibe to Ticket to Ride. So if you like kind of the feel of Ticket to Ride, it's similar, but in my experience, it lasts. It's a shorter play, and I like that
Right.
because I always kind of feel
It's
like Ticket to Ride kind of outstays its welcome a little bit. It's a shorter play, but somewhat similar vibe. Go
right,
ahead, you were going to say
right,
something.
right. It's a shorter play because everyone wanders off. No. That's great. That's great. Turn taxi or something.
It's a
That's it.
THURN, so maybe in English we say Thurn. I think in German they probably say turn. And
Yeah, they don't like
ampersand
H's after T's.
taxis, TAXIS. It looks like what
Taxi
it's
turn.
taxis. It
Taxi
refers
turn.
to some house, some family in Germany called the Turn and Taxis family, who oversaw the development of the early postal system in Germany.
The sequel to this game is called IRSen, and it is about the early Internal Revenue Service in Germany. And you play a warehouse where you receive forms that you sort. Yeah,
That's exactly right.
it's
Yeah.
very exciting.
Little known fact, we think IRS stands for Internal Revenue Service. It's not. It's actually named also after an
German
estate house called the IRS and
IRSen.
family in Germany. That's right. And it was named after them. That's right. They
Because
were
Essen is the verb to be, and aren't we all ultimately the result of our choices?
so
Oh,
yeah. So
okay. So
that's
let
it.
me throw one by you, Daniel.
You're number 5. I want to hear your number 5 surprise.
You are Romans defending a wall against the savage Picts. They attack tomorrow. How shall you defend?
This sounds
Shall
almost as
you
exciting
build up
as
the
Postal.
armaments? Shall you develop a bathhouse? I mean, I'm talking about Hadrian's Wall because it's very much a sandbox, and it's also kind of a roll and write, flip and write type game. And it looks like you can do all this cool stuff. And I did it and I lost, 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 until I realized I had to be absolutely strategic with this game. And so what surprised me was how much this simple game honed my really bad gaming skills to be less bad. I mean, I'm still gonna lose, but I lose better because it showed me that to win, you can't just do the cool thing. You have to do the right thing at the right time. Right. So my expectation is I
Yeah.
would do this and that and this and that, and then I would lose. And like, oh, well, I should do this because I get this. But getting that didn't help me win.
Good.
Right.
So it's surprising that it taught you a new approach to gaming, or kind of a different mindset for gaming.
That I should have known all along, that you really have to be strategic. So everything is moving you towards victory.
Yeah.
And you don't want to waste anything. Versus, I guess I was a little more childlike when I was like, I should do this because it's cool. And sometimes that wins you the game.
Yeah.
But often it's like, I did this cool thing and I only got 10 points.
Yeah.
Because if I did this other thing, then I could have chained that together with this and gotten 30 points, right? So, yeah. Hadrian's Wall surprised me, as well as how much I kept playing it. I think it's my most played game.
Really? Mainly solo, is that right?
Yeah, it's really a solo game. There are ways to play with other people, and the Anarchy is really just kind of rethought Hadrian's Wall, and the Anarchy is much, much better. Yeah, and Hadrian's Wall is awesome, and the Anarchy is even better. But yeah, it's just such a satisfying sort of little experience to play.
That sounds. That's a great choice. I love that. Yeah,
Yeah.
I like how you also added to the drama. You announced it very well. That you introduced it very well. That
At a
was a good.
time when few had hope, one wall did.
And a bathhouse.
And a bathhouse. This is Hadrian's Wall.
How does a bathhouse support the wall? Isn't like thematically like senators are doing negotiations for building the wall in the bathhouse or something like that? Or what? How does that
It
factor in?
lets you erase the loss of fame. I forget the words at the moment, but like when you take a negative sort of victory point in essence, it helps you erase it. So I guess it makes the senators feel better about things.
Okay. Okay.
And Hadrian's Wall is rooted in history. There really were, and they continue to find, there were families that lived there. So they were career military guys on the outposts with small villages supporting the wall. There's a whole economy along Hadrian's Wall.
Which that game seems to capture pretty well. It doesn't.
Yeah,
Like
it does. It does, because you're doing all sorts of things to you're having events and doing things to keep the wall going. So yeah,
I think
Hadrian's
that's a
Wall
great choice.
was a surprise how that stuck with me.
I like it. I like it. Thank you.
Yeah. Number 2 for you.
My number 4 is also a game I've recently been introduced to. I'm going to try your technique. In a world without tiles comes a game of nothing but tiles. Big, chunky tiles. It's Mahjong. Mahjong is a game I recently got into, and I have really fallen in love with Mahjong. And our listeners and viewers probably know this. It was at some point I had to learn this. Mahjong, the tabletop game, is the traditional Mahjong game is very different from the Mahjong you played on Windows DOS and things like that. That where you just have to match tiles and take them off of a pile. It's almost a completely different thing. It's not this. So Mahjong, the tabletop game, is a traditional game that comes out of Asia. There are there's Cantonese versions, Hong Kong versions, Japanese versions, and it's largely kind of like a rummy game. If you've ever played rummy with a deck of cards where you're trying to collect sets and meld the sets, it's largely that. But you play them with these big chunky tiles instead of cards. And it was surprising to me for a couple reasons. One, as I was trying to learn it, I was trying to learn kind of more the traditional Cantonese or Hong Kong versions. I don't think I've ever played a game that involves so much ritual, and I was surprised by the ritual around it. There are 2 points of surprise, but that's the first one, the ritual around it, that you build a there are 2
Number 1.
points. That's right.
There are 3. We'll come back.
That's right. People who are listening on podcasts may not notice that I may not know I am holding up a lot of fingers, so I'm sorry.
Yes.
Number
I'm
1,
doing
number
the
2,
Spanish
number 3.
Inquisition for Monty Python, where he keeps miscounting, which then they reuse in Monty Python and the Holy Grail.
They
1, 2, 5,
1,
3.
2,
I mean
5.
3. They keep having number issues.
There's so much ritual around it. Like, for example, I'll just you're drawing your tiles, your upside down tiles, each round. You draw one and play one, basically, like you do in a lot of games. But the tiles are arranged traditionally in this like pinwheel shape wall in the middle of the table. And there's no reason for that. You could just make a big old messy pile in the middle of the table and everybody pick one. But no, tradition says, and there's this ritual on how you make the wall. And it's just beautiful and delightful that there's this ritual around it. It's totally unnecessary, but there's just this beauty and delight in the ritual of it. So that was the first surprise, just the ritual around the game. The second and the bigger surprise is the rules are relatively simple, but the scoring might just be, no, it is the most complicated thing to scoring of any game
Ever.
that I've ever had to wrap my that I've ever had to
Wow.
wrap my head around. One thing that makes scoring complicated is there are many, many variations on how to score the game, and so y y and each of those scoring variations is in and of themselves incredibly complicated. And so, um, it almost just feels like you have to, like, get a master's degree and try and understand how to
Mm.
score mahjong 'cause, and then when you finally learn one really, really complicated scoring system, then there's a whole other variation, and maybe
So
this
you have
other
to
person.
clarify with the other player which scoring.
Yes, and there are variations within the variations, like, what kind of scoring
Mm.
are we doing with this variation? And
So it's
so that
probably a
was
very old game, and there's all these different ways to play it. Yeah.
yeah, so that was the s
Wasn't real
those were the
standardized.
2 surprises for me, the ritual, and then even the and then even though the rules are simple, the scoring is very, 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 very complicated, for me at least. Like, I'm still trying to
Mm.
figure it out.
Mm.
So mahjong,
Okay.
my number 4.
Okay.
How about you? What's your number 4?
Number 4 for me is Endurance by Amabel Holland, which is a
Oh,
just Amabel Holland. I'm no expert, but she just continues in her YouTube videos and her work to explore what is the nature of games and endurance. You kind of can decide what the win victory condition is, but there's an ultimate way of really winning, which is getting Shackleton home. And it's all
yeah.
about the Shackleton expedition that failed so miserably to the Antarctic South Pole or something. And yeah, you just feel the agony. Like you might have to eat the dogs that you were
Mm,
sledding
mm,
with. You have to make
mm,
grim decisions if you want to carry on, and people get sick and things go wrong, and you just realize how fragile a situation like that is.
mm,
And then to read in the manual, and I've said this before, that for Amabel Holland, who is transgendered, that kind of the miracle that Shackleton did survive, which was like, and his whole crew, which was like a one in, or not, I can't remember if it was the whole crew. I think he brought everyone back, didn't he?
I don't
I think
remember.
so. But just that it was like a one in million chance. And for
Yeah,
her,
yeah,
the fact that she found herself was a one in a million chance too. Like you
yeah,
realize that
yeah.
it kind of defies what a game is. And then you
Mm,
realize it's also about something else. But like Narnia, you don't have to know what it's about. You can read it on this level or this level. And yeah, that just exceeded. So it's almost a meditation on historical
mm,
contingency and impossibility. It's just really cool. It's a really cool experience.
mm, mm.
So yeah, Endurance by Amabel Holland.
I whenever you speak about this game, it always is so meaningful because it's so apparent just how much this game is just a very significant experience for you, just in that
Yeah.
it sounds like it just kind of yeah, it was a surprise in terms of what a game can mean, right? I guess what a game can
Yes. What it can
and
mean.
yeah, yeah,
And
I
the
love that.
pictures of the people are on there. So you really do feel like, this guy is
Mm,
sick. And this
mm,
was a real dude. And she uses the historical photos.
mm.
Or they had spoiled food and they were trying to like what they had to do to survive.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. It's just a really cool experience.
yeah. It was a kind of exercise
Endurance.
in uh, yeah, compassion, empathy, understanding the
It is.
experiences of someone
It
else.
really
Yeah, yeah,
is.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's wow. That might be the winner of the whole list.
Well,
That's a great one.
different strokes for different folks. That is a solo game, and but it's an indie game. It's cool when you buy any of her games that she's made. Like they warn you, they still have the burned smell from the factory. Like they're kind of printed on demand, I think.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
it's they're managing to self-publish
yeah.
really
Yeah,
curious games.
you can
Yeah,
only get her games from her website, I believe. Is that right? Or
correct,
something like that?
correct.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
and she continues to
Yeah.
do that. I don't have the Six Moons game, but that's a game that doesn't have rules, and it's supposed to be a game found by the aliens created, and you have to figure out the rules yourself. And so, yeah, she's always experimenting with things.
That's amazing. What a great
Yeah.
designer. That's
Yeah,
cool.
yeah, a
I'm
singular voice
I'm
in
glad
Emma
you
Holland.
included that. Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, thank you. What's your numero trace?
My number 3 is a game called Paris Connection. Paris Connection. It is, it's known by a few other names as well, I think. Some call it Mick. Some call it Big Mick. No, that's a very deep cut Phineas and Ferb quote. I'm sorry. Reference there when our kids were growing up. They loved Phineas and Ferb. It was Mitch. It was Mitch, but they met this alien called Mitch, and he said, "I go by many names. Some call me Mitch. Some call me Big Mitch." Anyway, but no,
Oh boy.
Paris Connection. It does go by other names. This
Oh,
is
Connection de Paris. Oh.
this is a game. It's a kind of an old classic Euro style game. Like, so we're also talking maybe the era of, again, Ticket to Ride, Settlers of Catan, kind of that era. Um, I had never heard of it, and Kristen, my wonderful spouse, just came back from a thrift store one day, an antique store here in the area, and said, "Hey, I found this game. It was like
Mm,
$5 or something like that. Paris Connection." Um, and I had never heard of it before. Um, and you typically we Kristen and I enjoy going to thrift stores and antique stores a lot, and I'm always on the lookout for, like, you know some really great Uwe Rosenberg game there in the antique store, the thrift store, and you never find
mhm,
it, at least in my part of the country, because it's basically the games are almost always like some variation of Monopoly and
mhm.
um, seen it video movie thing, which is fine. And I'm not trying to put it
Yeah,
down, but there's not a lot of variety, and you don't get a lot of hobby board games. So I wasn't quite sure what to expect. But by golly, it was a really good game. It is a really good game. Paris
mhm,
Connection. Um, it's a little bit of a beast for a setup. Not a beast, but it takes longer for setup than you might expect it to. But it's just basically putting a lot of things out. But then it's really clever and it plays quick. Um, Basically, you are trying to make train routes across this map of France, and everyone has a limited supply of trains of or tracks
mhm.
that you keep hidden behind your screen. And it's one of those games where it's a stock market game, and so you have to the kind of you are using certain color tracks to build certain color lines, but then you also need to reserve a certain amount of those color tracks to as investments in the stock in the company that's building those lines. And so it's this balance, like, between, because if you use all of those colored tracks to build up the line, but you won't have any left to actually invest in the company and make money. But if you use all of those tracks to um, invest in the country in the line, then you won't have very many trains to build it, and so it won't be a very big line. And so it's this kind of this cool balance, the seesaw thing. It's a really great game, and I really like it. I was surprised what a wonderful game it is to just come from a game that I never heard of from a thrift store before. So Paris
That's cool.
Connection, yeah, is number 3
Okay, number
for me.
3.
How about you?
Obsession. Number 3, Obsession.
Oh, yes.
Because I have no interest in the theme, although that's not
Mm,
quite true because I love Downton Abbey and I love Pride and Prejudice, so maybe I do, and I'm not being honest. But it didn't excite me to play this English manor or whatever, where you're trying to have parties and put butlers and have a wedding.
yeah,
I'm just a Star Wars space guy or a dudes on a map kind of guy. And it didn't seem interesting, but I kept hearing great things about it. And it's so good. Obsession,
nice.
it's just so cool. It's worker placement, but it makes absolute sense. For once, it's not serfs milking cows or, little soldiers going off to whatever. It's the maid having to go with the fancy pants Lord Billingsley because he requires his own or his wife requires her own maid or something, right? So like the more hoity-toity they are, the more people they require, and having to upgrade and trying to impress them and throw parties. It just it's got to be one of the great combos of theme and mechanics ever. I would
That's
include
so
in that Nemesis, the great alien type game. So that also where you're having to discover the ship and doing silence rolls and the monsters pop out. You just like it's just like they created the mechanic for the theme. It's unbelievable. So,
Oh,
but
okay,
I would throw that in. There's an honorable mention. But yeah, have you played Obsession or
I
Nemesis?
have at a Geekway once.
Uh
Yeah,
huh.
yeah, yeah. It was. I do
Yeah,
remember
I
being a lot of
just
fun.
thought this is so good. So yeah,
Yeah,
I had not was so surprised how much fun it was, Obsession, and also how much I liked the game because I knew
yeah,
I would like Nemesis because I had a big monster on it. Because I'm still
yeah,
12 years old and a little boy,
yeah.
and to prove that, I will soon make a fart joke. But yeah, yeah, that's
And
number
that's
3.
Obsession. That's a good choice. A good
Number
choice. Yeah, yeah.
3.
You're right. It's like, kind of like you were saying with maybe Turn in Texas, that the theme kind of puts you off a little bit. But if it's not your thing, maybe it is your thing. But then you play it, it's like, oh, this is a really great game.
Yeah, yeah, it really is. You never
Pardon me.
know. And formaggio, that's become a favorite of my family's, and it's cheesemakers. And I don't know anyone that's super excited unless you don't like the whole dudes on the map and you want something safe. But no one's really into making cheese. But it's so much fun. It feels so exciting to have your
Yeah,
little cheesemakers come off. So yeah.
yeah, yeah. That is great.
Okay, number 2 for
Well,
you.
um, of late, I have really been enjoying more and more small games, tiny games. In fact, we added a new shelf in our game room for tiny games. Um, I recently purchased Barbie cubes. This is not my game that I want to say, but it's just which comes in a little tin, just almost like the size of like a mint
Hmm.
tin. I'm enjoying small games, um, which is why I was so surprised that I liked a not small game that you may have heard of, Kevin, called Twilight Imperium 4. It's my number 2. Surprise.
You got me so good.
Uh,
The micro
um,
version. They
that's
comes
right,
with a
the
set of
little
tweezers.
Matchbox Twilight Imperium 4. Um, I've heard,
That's really
you
funny.
know, I heard you talk about Twilight Imperium 4, for a long time and how much you love it. And, Sam, dear friend and friend of the podcast, was kind enough to gift me his copy of it, and I tried to learn. It just seems so big, just seems so big. And as a general rule, I don't necessarily play a lot of big games, and so I wasn't. I wanted to play it because I know I had friends that like it, like you and Sam and others. But
And it's like number 6 on Board Game Geek or
yeah, yeah,
something crazy.
but
Top
it's
10. Yeah.
so big, and I'm just not. I'm as a general rule, I'm just not a big game guy. But you know what? It's a great game. It
It
was
is a
so
good
much
game.
fun,
It's a good
and
game.
part of it was, we had a great teacher that you were the teacher,
Oh,
for that game, and you just made it fun. You brought in music. You explained the
oh.
rules so well that it wasn't overwhelming or confusing, and it was just it just was this experience of this kind of, a, a not rushed, grand adventure that you go on with your
Hmm.
friends.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and I was surprised just how much really enjoyed this big, grand adventure of a game, Twilight Imperium
Hmm.
4. Thanks to you teaching it and
Oh,
introducing it. And
thanks. It
so,
makes me
yeah,
so
so that's my
happy.
number 2. Yeah, Twilight Imperium 4.
Makes me so happy because I knew I was twisting some arms, calling in a little bit of social capital, but it seemed like it was a fun time. So yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
great. That's good. I'm
That
so
was a
happy.
great one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks for introducing it.
Yes. Yes. Number 2 for me, Wilmot's Warehouse, which is another game that
Nice.
like Endurance, it kind of defies what a game is because that's very much a storytelling memory co-op game, and it's a little silly in some ways, but um but it's awesome. Yeah. and so it's more of a creative sandbox type experience. I don't know why you're pulling tiles, but as a team, you can look at them once, and then you tell a story of connecting it within the grid of the other tiles, and then it flips over and you'll never see it again until the very end. So you have to remember all the stories, and because they end up getting laid out in different ways, it gets a little thorny. I'm really terrible at it, but it is fun. It is a really cool game. Yeah, and that's a game, if no one's ever seen anything like it, you just like, check this. Give me 45 minutes to blow your mind, my friend.
It is unlike any other game, isn't it? Yeah. I really am happy that you named that. Yeah. I almost put it on my list too. That's such a that's such a good one. It's kind of another example of those games that it doesn't sound like it'll work when you begin to like, because you're trying to remember like the position of what, like 25, 36 tiles or whatever turned upside down. And at least for me going into the game, I'm like, there's no way that any of us will be able to remember where all these tiles are. But by golly, as a team, as a group, at the end of it, you kind of figure out a way. Yeah.
And it has some funny, quirky rules, like you may draw where you have to all switch places. So you rotate, and that really messes with you because you're looking spatially at the board from a different angle.
Yeah.
And you have to rethink it. Yeah, it's a cool little experience. So like you, as you were saying, there's some games that are almost not games, like That's Not a Hat and that kind of thing. It's more of an experiential experience.
Yeah.
And
and
those are the ones that defy expectations or surpass them. You're like, huh.
Right.
It's only a game in the sense that it came in a box, but that was really fun. I'd totally play it again.
Yep.
In the sense of there's not really a winner or a score, or you can kind of improve at Wilmot's Warehouse, how fast and how many you get right and some things. But I doubt many people are really playing it that. I think playing it with the same people would get old. The whole point of that is playing it with new people.
I agree.
Then you're really not keeping score. You're just kind of seeing what happens.
Yeah, I agree. It's not a great game. It's not necessarily the best game to, like you just said, to repeat over and over again with the same people. But with a new group of people, it's great.
Yeah, That's Not a Hat doesn't work. I don't think Skull would work. Once you figure out how people bluff and their tells, it would probably get a little constricted.
Yeah,
but
that's true. Yeah. That's true. That's a good point. Wilmot's Warehouse. It's great.
Numero uno.
So, for you. Kevin, in a world where everyone's named Kevin, one man
emerged to bring salvation, and his name was
Taylor.
Daniel.
No. Kevin Taylor is both number one Kevin and number two Kevin. We have the Bears to prove it.
It's a multiverse of Kevins, and they're all the same.
That's right. So Kevin,
Daniel,
up until 10 years ago, I had lived most of my adulthood feeling like I had largely put board games behind me. Board games were the stuff of my childhood, among other things. They were behind me. I was a serious person now, and I had too many things to do, and serious, important things. And plus, I knew board games. Board games were Monopoly and Uno, and they were okay, but they weren't really exciting. And I got bored with them, and Monopoly made me mad. That was board games. But then, one day, Christmas of December. Remember that year when Christmas was in December?
No.
You remember that one? Yeah.
It's weird.
That was, yeah. I did.
On that Christmas in December, a little Kevin elf appeared.
It was.
Hey, Mr. Man.
That's right. But then one December 25th, 10 years ago, from the recording of this podcast in 2016, Kristen gave me a hobby board game for Christmas. And she's still not quite sure why she did it, but she did it. And it opened up my eyes.
Desperate for a present.
That's right.
In one galaxy, a spouse could not think of a game.
There are only so many socks. It opened up my eyes to this world of board games and how board games could be amazing and wonderful and clever. And it started all of this for me. And that game was Dominion. So
Dominion. Yes.
Dominion was kind of my pandemic for you. So that
Right.
the so that I'm gonna say is kind of my for me it was kind of the number one surprising game, just because it just created this world shift for me from thinking that games were kind of boring and uninteresting and a part of my childhood and in my past, to something that could be wonderful and transformative and could save the world in a way.
Mm,
So that was thanks to Kristen giving me Dominion 10 years ago. So
right,
Dominion,
right,
for
right,
those of us
right.
who aren't familiar with it, it's probably, isn't it maybe the very first game of the first, was it the game that started the deck building genre? I'm not sure there's any deck builder before that.
I
Um,
don't know, because you could argue like Magic and Pokemon. So I don't
oh,
know, but it's certainly one
yeah.
of the. I mean, it became a classic, and everyone had played it at one point. I don't think it's played as really any.
No,
It came and went, but it
yeah.
is iconic. And yes, I remember also being so surprised, as well as the sense of an expansion. Like
Yeah,
the
yeah,
box invited buying more, and I knew there
yeah,
were more, and they could introduce
yeah.
new stuff. So yeah,
That's right. We bought several expansions. But yeah, it's a card game. It's this mechanism called deck building, where essentially you have a deck of cards and they give you powers, and those powers give you points. But the cards also allow you to buy other cards that you can add to your deck, which then give you greater powers, which allow you to get more points. And
right.
so your deck is always changing as you are adding better and better cards to your deck
Right, but
building.
there are some victory point cards, and so part
Yeah,
of the game that
yeah,
I'm terrible at is timing it correctly, because those cards won't do anything for you, so you wanna buy them at the right time, and when others start buying them, you wanna start buying them, because I forget, when one of those runs out, the victory cards,
it triggers the end.
one
Right,
is the Duchy, but we always called it the Dookie as sort of a family joke, because it's, again,
right.
it's I have 3 sons, so,
I understand.
somebody
Yeah, yeah.
mispronounced it as a Dookie, and they were like, "I'm gonna take this Dookie here," so we just
That's
talk, because that's slang for poop in, American English, and so, yes. Yeah, so you wanna watch what other people are doing, and you wanna start gobbling those up, because you only win with those cards.
yeah,
But they're
yeah.
kinda pointless till the end, because
That's right.
you can't buy anything with them, they gum up your hand.
They
So,
just
yeah,
fill up your
it's
hand.
a
Yeah,
there's an art to it that I've never been good at, which is probably why it didn't blow my mind as much as Pandemic.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
I
but I
understand that.
certainly Dominion was awesome, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So that's
Dominion.
my number one
Number
most
1.
surprising game. Dominion. Yeah. How about you?
My number 1 game is a game that looks like dudes on a map with space and combat, and yet if you do those things, you probably will not win the game, because the game is not about eradicating your opponents, but it's about winning certain victory points by accomplishing these missions. And really, if you get in a fight with someone, unless you have to, you will probably lose. And that game is Twilight Imperium. Yeah, TI4 is
Yay!
just so cool,
Yay!
as
Right.
well as the idea of having these memories. So it creates
Yeah.
memories. It's a
Yeah.
big
Yeah.
grand adventure. People complain about table space hogs. I love a great table space hog game, because it's so immersive. It's just
Yeah.
like
That's true.
you can't
That's
even put
true.
your phone on the table. Like, this
Yeah.
game just commands, it's like seeing some weird big work of art that just takes up the whole wall, and you're like, "Oh my gosh." Like, it just,
Yeah.
it's immersive. It calls to you. It's lots of things to look at, even when it's not your turn to consider. But yeah, I love how that game looks like a big fighting game like Risk or something, or Monopoly, but really, Twilight Imperium 4 blowing people up and getting in fights is actually not great. You really
Yeah.
don't want to do it, because you probably are going to win by developing technologies and certain things happening. And so there's just a lot of funny, weird bits of like, Daniel, if you move out of here, or if you just leave this, I'll just attack here. And I promise I won't attack anymore. I just need this planet for this victory point. And Daniel's got to decide if I'm lying or not.
Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Right. And
There's
so
so
it
much
just takes these little
interaction.
weird moments. Yeah, the
Yeah.
interactions are
Yeah.
so peculiar in this game. And then once you get 30% in, you start voting on laws, and you're like, what is happening? Like,
Yeah.
we're voting
Yeah.
on laws, galactic
Yeah.
laws. So yeah, that game just it's really It's almost like a strange toy that's been stapled together. There's like 4 different things stapled together, and it shouldn't be fun, and yet you're just like, "This is great." So,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Those are that's a I'm so glad that's your number 1. Yeah, no, I agree. That's,
Thanks. Yeah, yeah.
um you're right, you're right, it's
Some
not a game, kinda like Scythe, where, like, it looks like it's all
Yes,
about
it
beating
is
each
like
other
a
up, but it's
scythe.
not really. Yeah.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
you're wasting time and resources, yeah. So, and of course, playing with my children, and we don't play that often, but when we do, inevitably they get in a grudge match of attacking each
Yeah.
other. And Jenny and I are just sitting over there getting victory points while they're attacking back. And
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
it's so funny. And plus,
We
it
have
has
a
little Death Stars on it. They're
How
not called
amazing
that,
is
but it's
that?
so great. Yes.
We have there's a new young couple that started coming to our church, and they heard about the board game group. We have a board game group at our church every
Hmm.
Thursday night, and they said, "Oh, we
Greatest
like
church
board
ever.
games." I said, "Great," and they said, well, I said, "What do you like to play?" And she said, and the wife said, "Oh yeah, my favorite game is a game called Twilight Imperium 4," and I was like, "Oh, you are welcome here, friends. You
You're
are."
welcome. Church is canceled
We
Sunday. We're
we
playing
probably can't we
games.
probably can't play that on a Thursday night, but just because we only meet for 2 hours, but
Yes,
you are my
yes,
kind of
yes.
peeps. Yeah, yeah,
Yes. And a
yeah,
little word to the wise, and this happened to us at Geekway when we played. You really do want to finish that day, because if you ever are tempted to start it up again the next day, you just lose something. It just
yeah,
doesn't work.
yeah,
It,
yeah.
it's not the same thing. You end up packing it up, or yeah, you really want to.
That's a good
If you go to sleep, you just lose something. Yeah,
yeah, that's a good piece of advice,
contain
yeah.
it somehow. Yeah, or call it. Okay, my friend. Those are 10, 11, 12, 13 plus a few extra great
Yeah,
games that surprised us. And that's partly just happens to be the stuff we like, as well as the things we happen to play at the time that we did. And you, listener, probably have a different story. And we'd
yeah.
love to hear it.
We'd love to hear if you have, some surprising games to you. Um, Please let us know. You can reach us at, playsavestheworld@gmail.com, or at info@playsavestheworld.com. Either
Or
way.
make a comment in YouTube,
Yeah.
or make a comment in your podcast platform of choice. We'd love to hear what has surprised you. You went into the game and you walked away going, wow,
Yeah.
wasn't
Make a comment. We
expecting that
might
one.
even, share it in a future episode. So we
That's right.
appreciate we
That's right.
appreciate the
That's right.
feedback. Um,
We
Kevin, there
might
were
send you
no
$1 million bill,
yeah, that's
which
anything can
totally
happen.
exists. Anything can
Anything
happen.
anything can happen. Probably not,
Probably
but
not, because they're not real, but it
no,
could.
anything can happen.
Anything. In
Kevin,
fact, this podcast could end.
it could, or we could keep talking about, you know what, I think
About the Daniel verse.
we should do another hour deep dive commentary into Turn in Texas. This is talk some more.
I just picture all these taxis turning. Like, that's the whole game, is taxis just turning. Mine's turning right. Okay, your turn, Daniel. Where
That's
is your
great.
taxi going? Going right as
Well,
well. Okay, that's the
um,
game.
this has been great. Yeah, we hope you've enjoyed it, listeners of yours. We would love to hear your surprising games. Kevin, thanks so much. You shared some great games there. It's always great hanging out with you, and listeners, viewers, always great hanging out with you. We do hope that, yeah, wherever you are, in whatever corner you're of the world, that you're doing okay, and know that we're glad that you're there, and we're glad that you are part of this conversation. We hope you're having a good day.
Amen.
All
Goodbye.
right, take care. Bye bye.